Welcome to Math with Mr. P. Today we're going to be doing Chapter 3, Lesson 3. Now, if you're wondering what happened to Chapter 3, Lesson 2, if you're in my class, you already know we skip Lesson 2. For those of you guys that are watching this outside of my class, the district tells us not to teach Lesson 2. Now, I can do Lesson 2 at a later date if needed, but right now we're going to go ahead and focus on Chapter 3, Lesson 3. And again, this is for 6th grade math. What will we learn today? Today we're going to multiply by decimals, and we're also going to learn to annex zeros in the product. Product being the answer to a multiplication problem. So another academic term. If you need to pause right now and add product to your notes, please do. Today we're multiplying decimals by whole numbers. Our example is as follows. Bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants. It can grow about 4.9 feet in height per day. That's crazy. It is a favorite food of panda bears. You can use a repeated addition to find the total height of a bamboo plant can grow over a number of days. Complete the table. The first one is done for you. So, repeated addition would be 4.9 plus 4.9. In the number of 2 days, it would be 9.8. Now, in 3 days, we would do, let's see if we can write this out, 4.9, 4.9, and 4.9. We're going to go ahead and use a thinner pen because that was a lot. And we're going to go ahead and use our digital whiteboard elsewhere. 4.9, 4.9, and 4.9. We line up the decimals as we learned last lesson, and we're going to add 9 plus 9 plus 9, or 3 times 9, I should know, is 27. Carry the 2, bring down the decimal. 4 plus 4 plus 4, or 3 times 4, is 12, plus the 2 will make this 14. So I have a total of 14.7. If I go back to my chart, it'll be 14.7. And I just broke the rule. I said I was going to use a thinner pen, and I went back to the same one. This is also the same thing as saying 3 times 4.9 would be 14.7. Whew, that was a lot. Sorry, I'm adjusting my chair, so if you hear any squeaks or anything, that's what that is. Instead of adding 4.9 plus 4.9 plus 4.9 plus 4.9 again, let's just go ahead and multiply it by 4 so I can show you exactly what would happen. 4 times 4.9. Now, this is where we're going to get into multiplying with a decimal. Unlike adding and subtracting, we are actually going to ignore the decimal. 4.9 times 4. Now, when you multiply, the order in which it happens doesn't matter. So, 3 times 2 is the same thing as saying 2 times 3. The order doesn't matter. The same rule applies when you're adding. Subtraction and division, the order does matter. So, when I multiply and I use this standard algorithm setting where I just do this and I multiply the 4 by the 9 and the 4 by the 4, instead of me doing 4 times 4.9 like in this example where this would be a hot mess to do, always put the longer number on top and put the shorter number on the bottom. Now, hint the words that I said, the longer number. Doesn't mean it's the bigger number, it means it's the longer number and the shorter number. 4.9 has 2 digits in it, 4.9, and this one has 1 with 4. So, I'm going to rewrite it again with the longer number on top. 4.9 times 4. That sound is my fan kicking on, so we'll try to get through it and ignore it for now. 4 times 9 will be the same thing as saying 4 times 10 minus 4, which will be 36. Carry the 3, and the fan turned off, yay. 4 times 4 will be 16, plus the 3 will make it 19. Now the trick after multiplying a decimal is to count how many numbers there were after a decimal. Since there was only one number after a decimal, 9, we start from right and go over one jump because there was only one number. So my answer will be 19.6. And as always, we can check our work. 4.9 times 4, I'll go ahead and plug it into my calculator, and it should give me 19.6, and it does. So we did this correctly. Going back to my chart, this will be 19.6, and then we'll do the same thing for 5 times 4.9. Do me a favor, go ahead and pause the video, but set up your question. So instead of times 4, we'll do 4.9 times 5. Go ahead and practice this, pause the video, and try to do this, and then when you're done, unpause and see if you did this correctly. So now that you're unpaused, hopefully, 5 times 9 should be 45. Carry the 4. 5 times 4 will be 20, plus the 4 will be 24. And how many numbers were after a decimal? Just one. Therefore, I start from right to left. My answer will be 24.5. And let's check our work if you have not already. If you did, you're a math genius, and thank you for going and checking your work. 4.9 times 5 should equal, drum roll please. Oh, the fan came on for the drum roll. I see how it is, technology. 24.5, which is exactly what we got, and we're good. Let's go ahead and add that to our chart. 24.5. Yes, that's what I wrote, and we can move on. Use the pattern in the table to predict 6 times 4.9. Check by using repeated addition. When you have a table like this, the best thing we could have done, another shortcut we could have done, was just add 4.9 to each one. So if I added 4.9 to 14.7, I would have got 19.6. 4.9 to 24.5 will give me the next one, but we're not going to take the shortcut. Let's go ahead and let's knock this out. Let's do 4.9 times 6, and let's see what it would be. 4.9, and we're going to go ahead and bring a different color into this. Let's do light blue. 4.9 times 6. Now, the last one was 24.5, if I was not mistaken, and a bamboo tree grows 4.9 feet each day. So if I were to add this, which I'll do later, should match up to what this is. 6 times 9. Now, I don't know my 9s off the top of my head, but I know a trick. Instead of 6 times 9, I do 6 times 10, which is 60. Then I subtract the number I multiplied by 9, which is 6, from it, which would get me 54. So 6 times 9 equals 54. Always trying to teach you guys some new mental tricks and things like that. There's also a knuckle trick, which I can show you, or you can YouTube. Do a knuckle, just YouTube knuckle trick for multiplying by 9s, and it's pretty awesome. 6 times 4, I know, is 24, and plus the 5 will give me 29. One number after a decimal. Boom. Now let's check our work. 5 plus 9 will give me 14. Carry the 1, bring down the decimal. 4, 4, and 1 together. 4 and 4 will make 8, plus 1 is 9. Bring down the 2, 29.4, and we're good. And if you want to take it one step further and check on your calculator, you can do that. 4.9 times 6 equals 29.4. So we're good on that end. And we predicted that one. Multiplying decimals. I'm going to go ahead and shift this over. Using repeating addition can help you place the decimal point. The whole number represents the number of times the decimal is used as an addend. So place the decimal point in the product the same number of places from the right as the decimal, or the decimal factor. In English, that means just line up the decimals and add it again if we're doing a pattern like that. So because it was 4.9 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 and so on, instead of multiplying each one, we could have just added 4.9 to each product and continued the pattern that way. That would have been an easier way to fill in a table, but I wanted to teach you guys how to do the actual math. For example number 1, we're going to multiply 4 by 0.83. Now, look at what the example does. They put 0.83 on top. Just like I said, the longer number is on top. Now, don't say the bigger number because 0.83 is not bigger than 4, but it is longer than 4. So we put 0.83 above the 4. When you multiply 4 by 3, you get 12, hence the 2. If it'll let me draw. Carry the 1. 4 times 8. I don't know my multiples of 8, but I know that 2 times 8 will give me 16. So mental math here. If I don't know what 4 times 8 is, I may want to double 16. 6 plus 6 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. 32. So 4 times 8 is 32. Plus the 1 will give me 33. Hence the 3 here. And I will carry another 3 up here. 4 times 0 is 0, but I'm adding that 3 that was carried over, which will bring me down this 3. So I have 33, or 3.32. And that will be my answer. And remember, there's always different ways. Don't ever think that you're wrong for not knowing what like 4 times 8 was. For example, I had just didn't know it. I don't, have my 8s memorized, but I know what I know. Take what you know and see if you can utilize it. I knew that 2 times 8 was 16, and I know that 4 times 8 would be double that, hence how I got 32. So always use what you have with you when it comes to math. 3 times 14.2. Again, you're going to want to put the longer number on top. 14.2 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6, if my pen will register. 3 times 2 is 6, hence the 6. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus the 1 would be 4, and there's our answer. Also, I forgot to add this in, only one number was after a decimal, hence why the decimal comes down after 1. Going back to the other problem, I did forget to bring that in as well. There were 2 numbers after a decimal. Therefore, we start here 1, 2, and that's why the decimal was there for 3.32. My apologies for skipping that over. Now, we're going to find what 4 times 0.95 is. And for this, we're going to go to our digital whiteboard. We're going to go ahead and do a new whiteboard instead of erasing. And I'm going to go back to my problem to make sure. 4 times 0.95. The longer of the two numbers is 0.95. And I believe I'm multiplying by 4 if I remembered correctly. Double check. We are multiplying by 4. Now, we're going to go ahead and multiply this normally. 4 times 5, which would be 20. Carry the 2. 4 times 9, which again, using that mental math trick, would be 4 times 10, which would be 40, minus the 4 would give me 36. So again, instead of 9 times 4, I change the 9 to become 10. That equals 40. But I'm going to subtract what I multiplied by it, which will give me 36. Now, I'm not writing 36 there yet because I carried this 2 over. Adding the 2 will make it 38, and I will carry the 3 over. Notice I'm not bringing the decimal down. When you multiply by decimals, I'm going to wait till the end and then figure out how many numbers there were total at the end of a decimal. 4 times 0 will be 0, plus the 3 will give me 3. Decimal, 2 numbers after it, 1, 2. This will become 3.80, but because this doesn't have a money sign in front of it, I can actually go ahead and just get rid of that 0 and make it 3.8. Notice when I do my check on the calculator, it will tell me it's 3.8 instead of 3.80. 0.95 times 4 will be 3.8. You can always drop and annex 0 at the end of a decimal. They just go ahead and go away unless there is another number. So if it's 3.801, I can't chop off this part. Only chop off when there is a 0 at the end. For this one, it was 3.80. That 0 can go away and just make it 3.8. We keep the 0 when it comes to money. We don't say $3.8. We say $3.80. All right, let's go ahead and do these got it problems, and then we're going to call this a lesson. We're only going to do a few of these, so I'm going to go ahead and do A and C. A, we'll start off with 5 times 0.25, and 0.25 is the longer number. We want the longer number always on top. 0.25. And if I do remember correctly, we're multiplying it by 5. And I just want to double check that I'm writing the right thing. And then we'll go ahead and write the next problem over here, which will be 9 times 2.63. 2.63 is the longer number. And we're multiplying it by 9. And we're going to pick 2 different colors. We'll do blue on this side, and we will do light green on the other. 5 times 5 will be 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 2 will be 10. Plus the 2 will be 12. Carry the 1. 5 times 0 will be 0. Plus the 1 will make it 1. Decimal, how many numbers after? 2. 1, 2. So my answer will be 1.25. And I will double check my work with a calculator after we solve the next problem. 9 times 3 I know is 27. Carry the 2. 9 times 6. Again, we had this earlier. 9 times 10 or 6 times 10 instead would be 60. Minus 6 would be 54. But I'm adding 2 to it, so that would become 56. Carry the 5. And 9 times 2 I know is 18. Plus the 5 would make it, to add 2 to that, that'd be 20. With 3 left over would be 23. Decimal, 2 numbers afterward. Boom, boom. 23.67. And we're going to use our handy dandy calculator to double check and make sure that everything is correct. We'll start with the first one, which is 0.25 times 5. Should be 1.25. It is. And we'll double check our other answer, which is 2.63 times 9, which should get us 23.67, and it does. So, in summation, the importance of multiplying by decimals. The biggest rule is you always want the longest number on top. We'll do one more example. 4.47 times 8. So the longer number, I should say, 4.47 times 8, you want that one on top because you're just going to use this digit to multiply by each number in succession. And after you're done multiplying, you take care of the decimal. Do not do anything with the decimal now. It's going to be the same thing as doing 447 times 8. Let's just do the math. 8 times 7 is 56. And now, again, there's no shame in not knowing, so let's double check and make sure. 8 times 7 is 56, so we're good. We're going to go ahead and do this in a different color. Let's go ahead and do this one. 56. 8 times 4, again, I know that 8 times 3 is 24. Add 8 more to it, and that should be 32. But I'm going to go ahead and check my work before I do anything. This is when you can use a calculator when you're unsure. It is 32, just like I said, plus the 5 would make it 37. 8 times 4, again, would be 32. Again, if you want to double check, please do. 8 times 4 is 32, plus the 3 will make it 35. We look at the decimal because this is the important part. How many numbers came after a decimal? 2 numbers were after a decimal. Therefore, I go 1, 2, start from right to left. My answer should be 35.76, and I'm going to rewrite that decimal as a point and not a comma. And I'm going to check my work. 4.47 times 8 should give me 35.76, and it does. Therefore, I did it correctly. Again, as always, if you have any questions, if you're in my class, please make sure you message me on Teams or bring questions to class the next day. If you are outside of my class finding this on YouTube and you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. As always, this is Mr. P signing off. I will see you in the next one.